Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
And this is Jack from Emails That Sell.
Episode 18, we're going to look into call to actions.
Today, we're going to talk about the 3 call to action rules you must follow to maximize your reply rate, why you should never use the same call to action twice in your cold emails, and call to action examples that you can use to A/B test your cold emails this week. A call to action is what you're asking your email recipient to do. You're giving them directions to follow. Without a call to action, your cold email is not going to prompt the recipient to do anything.
Have you seen emails without call to action?
Well, I'm not sure if I've seen an email without a call to action, but I've seen quite a few with a very weak call to action. With call to actions, you've just got to spell it out. Some people may be a little bit hesitant to be explicit with a call to action because maybe they feel like they're being too demanding, but any email that works has an effective call to action.
Yeah, that reminds me some of the emails where they're like so hesitant to actually ask for anything. It's like, oh, well, if you have time, I wouldn't really want to bother you, but, it will be nice if you ever think of maybe potentially in the next 2 weeks, or whenever you have time, maybe think and consider maybe replying to me.
Yeah. Or I don't know if this is something you'd be interested, but let me know either way. I'll continue to keep typing away at this email so I can hide from my call to action. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help your reader. Just make it really clear. And as we'll get to in a short while, the idea is to make a call to action that's in your recipient's best interest. That is really compelling for somebody to actually do.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to figure out what the actual call to action is. So can you give us some example of good call to actions or things that we'll need to put in an email?
A good call to action has 3 things going for it. First, there's only one call to action in the email. If you try and ask people to follow a link, add you on LinkedIn, leave a comment on a video, and hit reply, people are going to do 0 of those things. So instead, just make sure your cold email has one call to action. Second, you need to make sure that call to action spells out exactly what you want your reader to do. So don't skate around it because you think you don't want to come across as too assertive. You just want to help them out with a very clear, here's what I'm looking for you to do. For example, if you want them to reply with feedback to your email, ask them, hey, Jeremy, just hit reply and let me know, one sentence of what you think of this, or just reply yes if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about this. So be explicit with your call to action. And finally, you need to make sure your call to action has a lot of benefits for the recipient so that when they actually take time out of the busy day to do whatever it is you're asking them to do, they're going to gain from it. If you can tie in a benefit to a call to action, so it's like, Jeremy, check out this video. It might help you get more traffic to QuickMail.io, for example. So just making it obvious how they're going to benefit.
How much or how little should my call to action demand?
I think there's a sliding scale here. There's call to actions on the high commitment side that says something like, hey, do you have 30 minutes to chat tomorrow at 3 p.m.? That's asking quite a bit from your cold email recipient. On the other end, there's the low commitment call to actions. And that's something like, hey, just hit reply yes if I can share a few more details with you. In my experience, the easier you make things for your prospect, the more replies you're going to get.
How would I actually filter with my call to action?
Yeah, an example of a call to action that does some filtering for you would be best used when you can't build a list as specific as you need it to be. For example, you may be targeting architecture firms that use WordPress and Slack. Problem is, it's pretty hard to find out if a company is using Slack or not. So throw in a call to action that says, hey, how many channels are you using right now on Slack at work? And obviously, only the folks using Slack would be able to reply to that. So it would do a little bit of filtering for you, so you're only having conversations with people who fit your qualifications.
Did you ever see some call to action that are a bit strange or different than the usual, but still interesting?
2 weeks ago, I was checking my email and I saw a cold email that came through where the call to action said, do I have your permission to send over a PDF on this? Sort of a roundabout way of just getting that conversation started, but they did so by asking my permission for something, and there was a lot of value add in getting the PDF that we're talking about, so it's kind of a unique angle there. Towards the end of a campaign, I've seen a call to action that explicitly asks them to unsubscribe if I'm the wrong person for this. So, instead of going for the get me to say yes, they're just saying like, hey, maybe I completely dropped the ball here and you're the wrong person. If so, would you mind like just clicking here so I know not to contact you again? Maybe later in the campaign, you say, hey, I haven't heard from you, tried contacting you a few times, what's going on? Just reply with a number to let me know. So like 1 would be, I need more time. 2 would be, this isn't interesting to me. Or 3 would be, something else. And that way they can just reply with a number.
Should the call to action always be the same in all my email sequence?
No, in fact, I don't think it should ever be the same. You want to vary your call to action with each follow-up you send so that you're mixing it up and you really don't know which call to action is going to resonate with your leads the most. So might as well change from, let's say, asking for a phone call to asking for feedback on something to asking if this is relevant to them to maybe even asking if they're the right person to speak to. There's quite a few different call to actions you can mix up, and it's a good idea to throw some different ones at your leads. There's kind of a simple equation you can think about when you're sitting down to write your cold emails. If you're having trouble getting replies, if your reply rate is really low, then make your call to action easier. If you're finding that you're having a lot of conversations with people who are not a good fit for your company, then raise the bar. Ask them something that's going to be more challenging so that it's a bit of a filter for you.
Here's a call to action for you guys. Leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you're listening that. Send your review along with a question, and we'll make sure we answer it in the next podcast.
That's a clear call to action. That's a singular call to action. And that's a call to action with benefits for the listener. Love it.
Well, there you go. Here are 3 things we learned today. The first thing is any email you send should have one clear call to action that benefits your recipient. The second thing is the level of commitment in your call to action will directly impact the number of replies you get, and you can use that to narrow your audience even further. And finally, vary your call to action in each new email you send so you can quickly learn which one works best.